we will proceed to public comment. We will hear in-person comments in the order that they were received. Each individual will have up to 3 minutes for their comment. The board secretary, Dr. Lopez, will let you know when your time has expired. Public comments will proceed for 1 hour. Electronically submitted comments will be read to the board if time allows. All electronically submitted comments have been provided to the board and posted on the website. So the first person that I have is Tisha Dowdy, I believe.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Excellent. My name is Tisha Dowdy. I am an alum of Niles West. I am a special education teacher, and my most important title is mother. At a Zoom board meeting in the fall, I sat in horror listening to Sharon Swanson, a teacher of this school district, and several others during public comment. Each of them disgusted with the lack of discipline, lack of respect, disregard for rules, etc. I couldn't help but think, this isn't Niles West, it's the Wild West. How did we get here? What has changed? Administration? School policy? The ill regard for decency toward one another? I think all the above. My child has frequently shared with me things that were witnessed here at Niles West. A student flipping over a lunch table, endless amounts of inappropriate language, physical and verbal, fighting, and more. It breaks my heart into a million pieces knowing that this is part of their day, and it shouldn't break, and it should break yours too, because this is not what education is supposed to be. I fear if these actions continue, we will be at the point of no return. What do I mean by the point of no return? I mean, what is going to happen if someone were so angry they made a choice one day to show up and handle things? How do you return from that? Simply, you do not. And that is why the administrators, the board, whoever, this is what it will take to make this environment a positive one for all. Thank you.
Okay, our next commenter on the list I have is Olyn.
My name is Erin Olenchek, and I'm a student in 219. As board members, you have a significant responsibility to the students you serve, but the past couple years have really made me question how you have chosen to carry out this responsibility. So here are my questions and the answers your community has received based on the actions you've taken. 1, what have you done to promote the mental health of students? The answer is you haven't. This is evident by the fully remote and hybrid schedule you maintain for the entire 2020-2021 school year. We were the very last school in the township to return to full-time in-person until this school year. Science and experts clearly advised this was the wrong decision, and you didn't listen. 2, do you trust that students are capable of deciding for themselves based on their capabilities and interests, whether or not they want to take honors level coursework? The answer is you don't, evident by detracking honors English. You took a one-size-fits-all approach and removed the honors option for the first semester freshmen and now first semester sophomores, despite the effort and dedication those students have demonstrated prior to entering high school. Allowing students the freedom to choose is the gold standard. 3, what are you doing to respect students of all ethnicities? The answer is you aren't, as evident by the head of your English department flippantly saying that there was an overrepresentation of whites and Asians in honors level courses, leaving people like my children to see that there is a threshold limit for people who look like them who can be in an honors class. This seems contrary to your hate has no home here mantra, as this discriminates against whites and Asians. 4, what are you doing to ensure the physical safety of our students? The answer is you aren't, as evident by your consideration to remove our school resource officer from the building. 5, what are you doing to promote school pride and preserve important traditions that help students feel a sense of security and belonging? The answer is you aren't, evident in your cancellation of the homecoming dance when every other high school in the area found a way to have one, even if it meant having it in a tent outside. 6, what are you doing to promote justice and equality for all students? The answer is you aren't. Rather, you segregated students who chose not to wear a mask on February 8th in a separate room, denying them of their lawful right to an education. You allowed administration to attempt to confiscate their phones. You also defamed and falsely accused a group of students of being racist without any shred of evidence when they chose to walk out over the masking topic. 7, what are you doing to show the people who elected you that you welcome their feedback? Answer, you don't. You kept these meetings remote for 2 years when all other feeder districts opened their doors to the community. You did not face your constituents, and you have allowed for your own members to spew vitriol and hate against your community and this school publicly in other board meetings and on social media without consequence. I refuse to stoop to the immature level of some of your members who choose to disrespect stakeholders and their own elementary school board members with whom they disagree. Through atrocious tweets and
Time is
cursing
up.
at them
Sorry.
in meetings. Instead, I choose to take the high road, and I'll simply say, I look forward to voting in 2023. Thank you.
I would like the board to reply to some of her charges. You sit up there and you listen to some of these charges, but there's never any feedback back to the people who you're responsible to. She put a lot of detail into what she said. It'd be nice to get some specific feedback. How can we get that from you?
We don't normally address, we just listen to the comments because we're not prepared to have a discussion. Well, we listen to your comments and then we take it back and then we will come back and.
So could you reply in writing to her?
We have her name and we probably will end up replying to her or calling her at some point. But we don't reply to comments. Sorry. Okay, we're going to move on. Kathy Osborne.
I'm going to talk really fast, so sorry. Hello, my name is Kathy Osborne, and I was born in the Ukraine. This war is very real, and I have family in the Ukraine and in Russia. What is occurring there is absolutely heartbreaking, but what I want to make clear is that we are not teaching our children to hate Russians, because they have zero connection to the corrupt regime. I urge you to have a conversation with your children and your students and explain that in war, innocent people on both sides are not the enemy or at fault. They are just unfortunate casualties. I came here in 1976, and at that time I experienced hate and prejudice because we were referred to as commies, because we were from what the world knew as communist Russia. When the Soviet Union collapsed, I became Ukrainian. I am neither Russian or Ukrainian. I identify as an American. And as an American, I encourage everyone to see people as what they are, just people. My children are not all the same color. My husband and I are not the same color, nor do we have the same religion. We teach our children to have empathy and civility towards human beings, no matter what their religion, nationality, or color. I do not want my children to hide their heritage because they are afraid of bigotry. Xenophobia is all around us, but let the voices of peace and tolerance drown those voices of bigotry. I urge everyone here to do the same. My point here is not just about Russia and Ukraine. My point is about hate and name-calling. We are all people. Here the kids are all just students and friends. Why does the school tolerate the constant pull to create the separation and focus on whiteness versus blackness and labels, and hire a speaker who promotes such hate towards each other? My family chose to live here specifically because of the diversity D219 brings, but I have never been more disappointed as a taxpayer and an alumni. I'm disappointed that all the media has put such a negative light on our school and has taken away all the positive. That kids throw ethnic and racial slurs and label white children as white supremacists just because they are not brown or black. I urge the board to realize that these kids are learning exactly what we as a society are trying to heal. Thank you.
Okay, the next person on the list is Rahul Middle.
Good evening.
I'm thankful for the opportunity to address the board and the administration in person tonight. I'd like to spend some time discussing the concept of boundaries. Students, parents, and educators are all part of a team that should be focused on the overall academic success of the student. Teams only function at optimal performance when each component of that team respects the role and the boundary that they have. The purpose of an educational institution is to teach people to be critical thinkers. The role of teachers is to ensure that their students know how to do that, which is to say that students should be taught how to ask questions, how to find answers to those questions, and how to have conversations regarding these answers with people who both agree and disagree with their position. Schools are not here to teach values. Values are learned at home. They come from religious affiliation, culture, older generations, and generally the people that love and cherish and help to raise the child. Again, it comes back to boundaries. It comes back to the educators understanding their very crucial role on a team where the focus should always be the student. Nowhere in any of this is there room for an educator's personal agenda. There is a difference in a statement of opinion and abuse of professional power. Please respect boundaries. This is crucial in the success of students. Having parents that feel valued and respected and heard leads to better team performance. I'm coming here tonight to speak about this because on countless occasions, my role as a parent has been completely downplayed in this team environment. The role of my children have been downplayed in this team environment. My children have had to witness me time and time again being bullied and shut down by administration because I have a different viewpoint on something. That's simply not okay. As Sam Phillips said, we're a community, and part of being better in a community is self-reflecting and looking back at what we can do better. And so I urge you guys to please remember boundaries. Please remember, parents love their kids. We should be so thankful that parents love their kids. And that should be a boundary that is absolutely respected by this school district. And I'm not sure it is. Thank you.
Hey, next we have Roberto, and I'm not sure what the last name is. I think it's Roberto.
Hello again. I am going to read this on behalf of my brother-in-law, Roberto Hurtado. Okay, again, it'll be fast, sorry. I find it interesting that when last year during the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, there were comments made by students saying death to Jews. But because there wasn't any proof, the district would not address the anti-Semitism. Here we have a situation where there's also no proof, but the district chose to sponsor 2 rallies and hire a speaker that charged what I suspect over $20,000. I believe both of these incidents did in fact occur, but why was death to Jews dismissed? Why is that okay not to address? Not even with an email to the students. I'm extremely disappointed in the speaker, Mr. Calvin Terrell. He was brought in by the district to improve racial harmony, but what I think the district did not do is vet him and look at his credentials. Calvin Terrell spoke at a school in New Jersey and traumatized the scholars so much that the school had to make counselors available. In fact, at today's assembly, I believe a student had to leave because they were also traumatized by his words. Haven't our kids been traumatized enough already with this pandemic? Is that what D219 wants to do, increase anxiety when it's already at an all-time high for high school kids? Mr. Terrell spoke that the N-word was allowed to be used only by Black students because it's part of their culture and it's a term of endearment. And if others were to use it, then those kids need to be disciplined. Okay, what about my child who is biracial but looks white, even though she grew up in Afro-Latino barbecues, as Mr. Terrell referred to? Will she get a pass or will she be disciplined? The fact that Mr. Terrell even asked parents on the Zoom whether they were white or Black before they spoke elicited judgment from him. That is wrong. Whiteness is not just the color of someone's skin. It's a mindset, and I'm a very light-skinned Latino, and my daughter is blonde, blue-eyed, but she nor I are white. Everything Mr. Terrell spoke about causes more divisiveness and does not promote unity and harmony. I'm just shocked why the district didn't choose a speaker who could promote empathy versus choosing a speaker who was rude and chose to attack non-Black parents. All derogatory words, whether it's the N-word, K-word, S-word, W-word, the list goes on. These have no place in school because hate has no place in school. I urge you to find a speaker to promote togetherness and not such animosity to your fellow scholar. Thank you.
Okay, the next commenter is Victoria Wolfinger.
Good evening. I'd like to congratulate incredible students being celebrated today, but would also like to direct your attention to the incredible kids who are not here this evening. Please pay attention to who is missing and ask yourself why. I'd like to welcome our new superintendent. I hope that under the new leadership, our district can make some much needed changes. Much is unfortunately too late for many, but we can still make measurable changes for kids who will be attending this district in the future. We must become a child-centered and equitable beacon of education. Our district talks a lot about equity, but unfortunately doesn't change the harmful behavior and inequitable behavior that continue to affect some of our most vulnerable kids. I urge you to not just approve policies, but to make them actionable and equitable and hold your own feet to the fire. What good are policies if you're not keeping yourself accountable? I urge you to protect the kids who count on you to keep them safe within the walls of this educational institution, not just in words, but in actions.
Thank you. Next, it's Lenistas. Oh, thank you.
I was told I only have 3 minutes, so I'll make this the most important 3 minutes that you ever hear. Let's get right into it. I can sit here and tell you guys right now that what I am about to tell you today, you have never heard of in your life. But before I get too deep into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Lenice Johnson-Jones. I am 17. I am a senior here that attends Niles West High School. And we're facing a very serious matter, along with the community. But before moving on, let me remind you that if you do not leave this room with the feeling of disgust or anger towards what I'm telling you, then you do not understand the purpose of this meeting that I'm having with you guys right now. When I walk down the hallways of my school, I say I am aware of my surroundings. I am aware of bullying, disrespect, even violations done by those to others. But what I need to be more aware of are the conflicts caused to my brothers and sisters of color. I use that term because that's what you call those who go through the same pain as you. I was questioned a lot these past few days. One of the questions I was asked was, how do we make Black whole again? I still don't have the answer to that one. Yesterday, I went to see a man speak about the truth behind Black people. Now, I don't mean your average civil rights protest talk and boycotting stores. I mean your brutal honesty talk, which I won't get into much because some of you guys wouldn't handle it. You know, the ones that they don't educate you about in school. I use the term educate in a situation like this because that is what is missing for many who try to understand the meaning behind Blacks when they don't. It is more than oppression that comes with us that is just affected by us than just hearing the N-word alone. Today I had attended one of the most powerful talks I've ever heard in my life. A man named Calvin Terrell had came to our school and spoke to us. One of the questions he had asked was, if there was a race war to happen in the next 3 months, would you be ready? The question sent shivers down my spine. It made me angry, but most of all, it made me scared. Scared because I don't know where to start when it comes to preparing for a race war. Anger because I don't know who to trust when preparing for a fight like this. So I had no answer, again. But I knew where it would start, and it's not going to be outside in the world. It's going to be in the place that you go to every day. It starts with Niles West High School and every other school in the world. It starts with there because it makes you realize who are your allies and who aren't. So I ask you right now today in this moment, are you fighting me or joining me? Board of Education, if you weren't listening to me before, I need you to listen to me right now when I ask you these questions. I'm speaking on behalf of my brothers and sisters as I use that term once more. Are you willing to risk that spot that you're sitting in right now? To stand with those that are Black who have been mistreated and neglected by the people in your community? When the next generation of Black students walk through the doors of Niles West High School, do they need to be scared of their safety regarding racist peers? Do you know how relationships in Niles West High Schools is when it comes to Black students and administrations? I'm a young Black woman myself, as you could see, and I don't tolerate any of it. They always say, you see something, say it, and I do. But that's also putting me at risk. And that's a risk I'm willing to take every day.
Thank you. Next, Brian Johnson.
Hey, good evening. My name is Brian Johnson. I just wanted to say that thank you for having in-person meetings. I think it's really helpful for the community to come and speak. Whether or not the answers are provided here or immediately or in the future, I think it's very helpful. Just a couple things here. This week, we had a speaker come into our schools to divide our schools and divide our students, to tell them that they have no moral role models in their lives and in society, to encourage some of them to use the N-word at school because it's only derogatory if some people say it. Did you know that this person's daily charge, their daily rate, is $7,000 a day? Did the district use its COVID relief funds to pay for this? There are some here who just a few weeks ago stood unmasked in front of another school board. They told them that they didn't give a darn about teachers or the community for making a decision about the school. They asked if someone was twisting their arms to make these decisions and that they were in cahoots with the administration. It's very ironic because when I asked the D219 admin if it was the teacher's decision to go mask optional, I was told it was actually a district level decision. So the D219 board made the same decision that they were just ranting against. This is unbelievably hypocritical. How about our board voting to remove SROs from our school despite 86% of Niles Township residents wanting to keep them in the schools? Abolishing the police. We have board members who support that. Removing honors classes because there are too many Asians or whites. Are these views and agendas consistent with the majority of Niles Township residents and voters? I believe that the D219 board, the majority of them right now, are out of touch with reality and disconnected from the majority of moderate residents of Niles Township. Voters and residents, please do your research on school board candidates and the agendas that they may or may not be pushing onto our children. Thank you.
And our last commenter is Nikki Krisan.
Good evening, District 219 board members. My oldest child is now a freshman at Niles North. I come before you as a concerned parent asking, why have you not had any in-person meetings until now? I have been to a few meetings at our elementary school and know many other school boards have had in-person meetings, but you have chosen not to do the same. Why? Why could our district not do the same? Why could one of your own school board members go to a Lincolnwood school board meeting speaking out against unmasking while he hypocritically chose not to wear one while speaking? Forgive me, but we as parents are tired of the lack of communication, not just towards us, but to the community as a whole. You speak for us, not the other way around. As excited and nervous as I was for my child to start high school, I quickly realized the administration and board has their own agenda, not considering all the parents or students. Hate has no place, and equality for all is in fact the complete opposite. I have sent multiple emails to the superintendent and principals with absolutely no response. Parents and children had a peaceful protest for unmasking. However, what came out of it was complete and utter disgust. Why was only one side believed and not the other instead of just believing the rumors? How about the children who posted, the ones who protested should have been aborted by their parents or were called white supremacists? The atmosphere on West and North, unfortunately, can be one of division, not unity, hate, not love, bullying, not kindness. You might say that's kind of harsh, but when my child's class was told if anyone is uncomfortable with a child not wearing a mask, they will move them somewhere else in the class. Or when another child was told to put their effing mask on by another student. Or when children are in fear of taking their mask off because of losing friends or getting a bad grade from a teacher. Or when not wearing a mask is associated with white privilege. Something is horribly wrong. Why did the school take 2 hours of my child's education so students could sit in an auditorium and listen to Mr. Calvin Terrell, who found core concepts for the evolution of humankind in Baha'i teachings, and I quote, believes Europe's colonial corporatist creation of whiteness was and is the most potent divider and distorter of human identities. Whitelash, as he calls it, is a term that Mr. Terrell uses to describe people who disagree with what he says or believes. I am horrified this is being taught in a public school or any school for that matter. Never once during my time at Lane Tech High School in Chicago, which has over 4,000 students from all walks of life, did I expect schools to be teaching my child that being white is bad. Tell that to my grandparents, my parents who grew up in communist Romania and had to wait hours in line for a loaf of bread. This board administration needs to take a real hard look at all students. Is the administration now going to allow Dr. Michael Rydelnik, professor of Jewish Studies and Bible at
Time is up. Sorry.
Institute, or I'm done almost, or Pastor Tony Evans to come speak at the schools? I think not. In the world we live in today and all that is going on, what direction is 219 going in? Thank you.
These fine people, you're responsible to, them and their kids. The board seems to
Sorry, I'm sorry. No, in the interest of, we have to, I'm sorry. This is the, nobody's,
Just sign.
no, sir, please calm down.
Next time, sign in, man, and make a comment. Can we get this guy out of here, please?
Yeah. This is really unruly. If you want to sign up and come up here for 3 minutes, we'd be happy to hear from you, but this is really disruptive.
Don't comment. Let's just move on.
Okay. We're going to move to digital. We have 2 electronic comments that we're going to read.
No. Just the one?
We have one.
We just have one digital, okay, one electronic comment to read.